you do, in fact, understand how to multiply polynomials. Okay. So the one I'm going to do is off the worksheet, and I'm just going to do number 8. Whoa. Okay, so if you haven't done that one on the worksheet yet, and you plan to do the worksheet, you can do this with me. So does everybody understand that when you're multiplying polynomials, it's basically distributing? Okay, so for this example, I have a trinomial. Okay, everybody see where I'm getting the word trinomial? 1, 2, 3, right? 3 terms. We got a trinomial times a binomial, right? Okay, so all I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take this 2x squared and distribute it. Then I'm going to take the xy and distribute it. And then I'm going to take the negative y and distribute it, and then just add my like terms. Okay. So, what is 2x squared? Whoa, I totally missed. Let's see where I'm aiming. Whoa. Sorry. There we go. What is 2x squared times y squared?
2x squared, y squared.
Okay, so 2x squared, y squared. And what is 2x squared times 3x? Okay, 6x cubed. And everybody remembers that when you multiply x's, you simply add the variables. Okay. Then I'm going to distribute the next term. So what is xy times y squared? xy cubed. What is xy times 3x? 3, whoa, that's about 3. 3x squared, y. Okay, and then I distribute the negative y. So what's negative y times y squared? Negative y cubed. And what's negative y times 3x? xy, good. Okay, and did you also know that when you have a scenario where you have multiple variables, that you put them in order of alphabetical, I said that wrong, you put them in alphabetical order. Okay, so if I have an x and a y, the x would go first and then the y. Okay, so depending on your variable. Okay, so now when I go to the part where I have to add like terms, okay, I can only add terms that have the same variables involved with the exact same exponents. Okay, so on the first term, my term is an x squared y squared. So do you see any other x squared y squareds? No. Okay, so that's its own term. Okay, and this term is an x cubed term. Do you see any other x cubed? No. Okay, do you see an x and a y cubed term? No. How about an x squared and a y term? No. How about a y cubed? And an xy? Okay, so this one, they have no like terms. Okay, so when you have no like terms, you just circle your answer and say, yay, that was done. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on the 6-2 multiplying polynomials section? Doing good? Okay, 6-3. All right, so 6-3 is called and labeled the binomial theorem, but I am actually not going to teach you the binomial theorem. I had planned to, but we had to do the STAR test instead, and so I kind of picked the lesser of two evils in my opinion, and I've decided that I'm going to teach you Pascal's triangle and how to FOIL using Pascal's triangle. Okay, anybody heard of Pascal before? In chemistry?
Yeah.
He's a very smart fella. And have you guys ever watched, what's that movie? Tangled. Yeah, and the little lizard guy, his name is Pascal. Because she's like an artist. So Pascal was a famous artist back in the day. Okay, and he was a guy who noticed patterns in the world. Okay, so he created this triangle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing this triangle, and this triangle has a pattern. Okay, and so I want you to see if you can figure out Pascal's triangle. Okay, so this is Pascal's triangle. All right, you ready? So it starts with a 1, and then it goes 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1. You got it already? 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Do you see the pattern?
Yep.
Okay, so tell me what the next row would be.
The next one would be 1, 5, 10.
10, 5, 1. Okay, fair enough. So tell me what's happening for people who might still be lost. How are we getting these numbers?
It's taking the two numbers above, like what you're trying to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's adding them together.
Right,
So
so,
like 1 plus 4 is 5. That's the number that goes with 22. 6 plus 4 is 10. Yeah.
right. Okay, so you're just simply adding the two numbers that are above it. Okay, so what would the next row be? 1,
6, 15,
6,
or 20, 15,
20, 15,
6.
6, 1. Okay, now, this is also really cool. We can use Pascal's triangle to FOIL binomials.
What?
Pretty sweet. Okay, so some of you guys have started working on the worksheet, and you got to a problem that looked something like x plus, I don't remember what it is, I should just use it. Oh no, it's x minus. I'm going to do plus though. X plus 4 to the 4th power. Okay, so as of right this moment, because I haven't showed you how to use Pascal's triangle yet, you would have to say, oh, well, this is the same as x plus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 4. And then you would have to FOIL that all out together. So I could like FOIL this one together, so I'd get x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16, so these two. And then I can FOIL these two, that's the same, x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. So that would be, if I simplify, and then FOIL those together. Should I keep going? I can if you want me to. No? Nobody wants me to keep going? I can. Oh, let's just do it. Okay, so I got x to the 4th, 8x cubed, 16x squared, 8x cubed, 64x squared. Oh, what's 8 times 16? Help me out. I don't know that.
128.
128x. And then distribute the 16. So then I have 16x squared. And 16 times 8x is 128x. And 16 times 16.
256.
Yep, 256. That's what I was thinking. And then you'll add all your like terms together. And so you say, okay, I got x to the 4th. I have 8, 16, x to the 3rds. And I have 16 plus 64, so that's what, 82? Plus another 16. What's 82 plus 16? 98 x squared. And then I have 128 plus another 128, which is 256x plus 256.
That's a bit. It's like a half a page worth maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, 96? Wait, where did I screw that up at? So you're saying right here? Oh, 96, this one. This one? X squared.
Plus 64 is 82.
Okay. Phew. Whoops. So lots of places to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Lots of places. Okay. So the other way you can do this is by using Pascal's triangle. So I'm going to erase this if you guys don't mind. At least the work part, just so I have space right here. And then I'll leave the answer, see if we get it right. Probably made a mistake in there somewhere. Okay. So everybody take a look at my exponent. What's my exponent? 4. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the exponent, and then I'm going to go look at Pascal's triangle, and I'm going to use the row that has a 4 in it. Okay, so do you see the row that has a 4 in it? This one right here, the second number is a 4. So you see 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and I'm basically going to have those terms, and they're going to start with each of those numbers. Okay, so my numbers were 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, right? Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the, sorry, I can't talk right now. Take a look at the number at the front of my binomial. Okay, so what is the value of my first number in my binomial? Like the whole thing. So what is this? What is this? X. So just X, right? Okay, so my first term in my binomial is X. So I'm going to start over here with an X, but I'm going to start with whatever my exponent is. Okay, so it's going to go X to the 4th, and then every term I'm going to lose an X. X to the 3rd, X squared, X to the 1st, and on my last term I have X to the 0 power, which is how many X's? 0 X's, literally 0. There are no X's. So nothing, right? I'm just not even going to write it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with my second term, but I'm going to start at the other end. Okay, so my second number is 4. So I'm going to start with 4 to the 4th over here and go backwards. Okay. 4 to the 4th. 4 to the 3rd. 4 squared. 4 to the 1st power. How many 4s are on the first term? 4 to the 0? 0 4s, right? So I don't need to say there's 0 of them. I'm just not going to write it. Okay, so now I have all my terms, and what I have left to do is just put a sign in between here. I'm going to take a look at right here at my plus, and I'm just going to put a plus, 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 plus. Plus, 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 plus. Okay, now I'm not done because this can be simplified. Okay, all I have left to do is simplify each of my terms. My first term is 1x to the 4th. What is that the same as? X to the 4th, right? That one's pretty simple. Okay, on my second term, I have 4 times 4x cubed. What would that make? 16x cubed. On my third term, now this is where it gets a little sketchy, I have an exponent. Remember, order of operations tells me I have to do my exponents first. Okay, so the 4 has a squared. What is 4 squared?
16.
And 16 times 6.
96.
Okay, so I have 96x squared. Jacob, are you with me? Take that out of your ear. Okay, third term, or what is this? Fourth, 1, 2, 3, fourth term. Okay, so this one I have 4 to the 3rd. What's 4 to the 3rd power?
64.
And 64 times 4. What? Oh, 256. I didn't hear the 2. I was like, no, I don't think so. X. Okay, my last term is 4 to the 4th. What is 4 to the 4th power? 256. So how do we do when we FOILed it all out? We did pretty good. Minus that 96 thing. So what do you think? Do you like that better?
It's a lot less right.
What's that?
Like,
Oh, if it was a minus in case. So let's do another example. Here, let's go. Okay, so let's say number 2, we're going to do x minus 3, and let's do to the 5th power. Let's get super crazy here. Okay, so right away I'm going to say that, would you guys agree that this would be the same as x plus negative 3 to the 5th power? That's the same thing, right? Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I just did on that last question. Okay, so where do I start?
On the third line.
Okay, so I've got an exponent of 5, so I need my 5th row line. So it goes 1, 5,
1, 5,
10, 10, 5, 1. Notice I have lots of space in between there. Okay, now what do I do? Okay, first term, x. We're going to go x to the 5th. So x to the 5th, and then count down. 4th, 3rd, 2, 1, 0. Okay, now on my second term, what is my second term value of my binomial? Negative 3. Okay, so when I start on the other hand, I need to put negative 3, and anytime I have negatives, I need to use parentheses, because that's where things get lost. Okay, so I'm going to do negative 3 to the 5th, negative 3 to the 4th, negative 3 cubed. Are you guys good back there? You guys got a question?
So wasn't the odd exponent if it's a negative number, the odd exponent stays negative?
Yeah. Okay, so what is the sign that's going to go in the middle of all those? Plus, right? So we just put little pluses in there. Okay. All right, here comes the part where we simplify. First term, x to the 5th, that's the easy one. X to the 5th. Okay, now on the second term, I have 15 times negative 3. So what happens when I have 15 times negative 3? Negative 15. So can I go ahead and say minus 15 instead? Everybody okay with that? Minus 15 x to the 4th. Okay, on my third term, remember I have to do my exponents first. What's negative 3 squared? 9. 9 times 10? 90. So I have a positive 90x cubed. Oops, I forgot my 90. Okay, fourth term. I have negative 3 to the 3rd. What's negative 3 to the 3rd? Negative 27 and negative 27 times 10?
Negative 270.
So can I say minus 270 x squared? Okay, what are we at? Fifth term? What's negative 3 to the 4th power?
81.
And 81 times 5? 405. So plus 405x. And last term is going to be negative 3 to the 5th is
Negative 243.
negative 243. Okay, so what I want you guys to understand is what you could have done to go a little faster through this is what if we would have said this second term was just 3 and not rewritten it as plus negative 3? What if we would have kept this as a minus and just used 3? What could we have done with the signs at the very end? Did you see what happened with our signs?
Yeah, it's going to be
They just alternated, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you see why they just alternated? Okay, if you look at the 3, what kind of exponent did that negative 3 have? An odd exponent. So every time there was a negative exponent on my negative number, I had a minus. and when it was an even number, it became a plus. Okay, so we could kind of use that and go, oh, well, I'll just switch those every other, but you got to remember that you start with a minus. Okay. What do you guys think of this? Pretty simple?
I think we're relative. Yes.
Fairly simple? Okay, I'm going to do one more because I want to see if you can figure this one out. Okay, so this one is going to be an easy one, but tricky. So I don't know if some people might call that hard. But yeah. So let's say you have 3x minus 4, and let's just do to the third power. Okay, so I'm going to let you play with this, and then we'll come back. Okay, see if you can figure this out on your own. Okay, so on your piece of paper, see where you can go with this. Huh? Yeah, that's why you should write it down. Otherwise, you have to recreate it every time. No, it's 1, 3, 3, 1. All right, so how do we do with that? I didn't finish mine yet. I just started it. Did you guys start yours the same way I did? So you had 1, 3, 3, 1. Did you notice that I used parentheses around the 3x? Did you use parentheses around the 3x? Because that is vital. That is the difference of getting it right and getting it wrong. Okay? So when I go to simplify my first term, does everybody realize that the 3 is cubed as well as the x? Okay? So what is 3 cubed? 27. So this is 27x cubed minus, I have 3 squared, 9 times 3, 27 times 4.
108.
So 108x squared. Okay, third term I have 4 squared.
16.
16 times 9.
144.
144x. And 4 cubed? Right. How many people got that on their very own?
Oh, I missed one sign.
Oh, one sign, darn it. How many people are super duper close?
One sign off.
How many people now understand? How many people are totally lost and don't get this? You have to raise your hand for me to help you. There's a lot of people that didn't raise their hand at all. Are you guys in the middle? Does that mean you're like, I kind of got this? Possibly. Unsure at this point. Okay, so part 2 of this.
Oh, the part 2.
Yeah, sorry. So naturally, they throw probability in with binomial theorem. So I'm going to show this to you guys, but I'm not going to really go over it to a huge extent. Okay, so binomial theorem uses combinations to come up with Pascal's triangle. Okay, so have you guys seen this notation before? You see that they throw this in the calculator? 6. So it's NCR. NCR, you would have done it with, okay, so it's like, so for example, if you have 6CR, or 6C1, okay, that's 6 combinations of 1. So that means like if you had 6 cards, how many combinations of 1 can you make? Okay, so if you have 6 cards, how many combinations of 1? So I could have like a 1 and a, yeah, 6 of them, right? Okay, so that would be 6. Okay, if I have 6 cards, let's do 6 combinations of 2. Okay, so 6 combinations of 2, so that means I have 6 cards. How many different ways can I group them in pairs? See what I mean by that?
Oh.
So you'd have like 2 here, and then you have 2 and 2, and then you could go. Do you see what I'm kind of saying? Okay, so and instead of figuring that all out, the calculator is able to calculate that for you.
All these years I've spent.
Okay, so how does that play into the idea of probability that they're asking us to do? Okay, the first thing you need to write down in your notes with probability is this this little piece right here. I think this is important. So we're talking about real-world probability. One thing I love about probability is there's no other way to play it but real-world scenarios. Okay, so it's not very often I can be like, oh, well, you're going to see x minus 4 in the real world to the 10th degree. No. Probability happens all the time. Okay, so this little piece right here is adding rules for mutually exclusive events. So in a mutually exclusive events is, let's say, I have a dice, okay, and I'm asking to roll a 1 or a 2. Okay, so this is the example they use, 1 or 2. So if I roll a 1, it doesn't depend on the 2. They're 2 separate events. Okay, so the part that you need to understand and probably write down is this piece right here. Okay, so for example, if I'm asked to find the probability of A or B, I can figure the probability of A and add it to the probability of B. Okay, so for example, if I ask you, what's the probability that I'm going to roll, no, let's use a different example. Okay, we're talking about a standard deck of cards, and I say, what's the probability you're going to pick a 10 or a jack? Sorry, that was really hard for me to think of something. Okay, you would say, okay, well, what's the probability of picking a 10? 4 out of 52, right? And then what's the probability of picking a jack? 2 out of, okay, so then you add it together. So you'd say 4 out of 52 plus 4 out of 52 makes 8 out of 52, and then figure out what that decimal is. You just add those probabilities together. That makes sense?
Sure.
You guys are kind of looking at me funny. Okay.
So you can't just go off the 4 get the probability.
What?
That's what I'm getting at. That you have to have 2 different
Two
probabilities in order to make 1 probability.
Right. Because you have 2 different outcomes. You can have a 10 or you can have a jack.
Right.
So you include the probability of both scenarios. Okay, next thing I want you to write down is this, and I'll explain this. I don't know if I can zoom any far.
C-R, R, Q to the R.
Okay?
Good morning.
Write it down, and then I'll explain what each little variable means. You must write this down. I can almost guarantee you're not going to remember this off the top of your head until you've done it like 10 times. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll go back to it as soon as everybody's done writing. So write this one down. Did you write this one down already?
Oh my goodness.
So, n combinations of r, p to the r times q to the r minus n minus r. Okay. Okay, everybody done?
No.
No. I'm going to go back to the other one really fast for Faith. Ready? There it is. Probability A plus probability of B. Have you guys seen that notation before, by the way? The probability of A,
I never knew what
the
it
P.
meant.
Oh.
I never used it.
Oh, I should have explained this like 10 minutes ago before you took the STAR test.
Yeah.
Oops.
I got a lot, like, what's the
There you
equation?
go. Oh. Okay. So do you see how there are 4 variables involved here? Okay, there's an N, there's an R, there's a P, and there's a Q. See the 4 variables? Okay. So N. N is the number of trials or picks or however many chances. Number of chances. Ooh, that's a good word, chances. R is, I wonder, let's see how they say it. Okay. Oops. R is your number of successes. Okay, so like we'll do an example and it'll make sense.
Well, so.
Well, I hope. That's the goal.
Just pardon the interruption. We had a little bit of fat fingers over typing, and the volleyball team should actually be dismissed at 11:45 instead of 11:55. Thank you.
Oh,
Just like a minute now.
the worksheet is right there. I'm recording this if you want to watch the end of it. Okay. P, any guesses on the P? Probability. Okay, yeah, it's the probability of your success.
Anything.
Okay, and the Q is like the exact opposite of your success.
So fails.
Your probability of a fail. Okay, so to figure this, by the way, you simply do 1 minus your P.
Why one?
Because 1 is representative of 100%. 100% would be a perfect outcome.
So we're basing this off like this.
Right, right. So probabilities, right. So probabilities only exist between 0% and 100%. So if I don't say the word percent, then that is between 0 and 1. Okay, here's an example. Are you guys ready?
What is the C?
C stands for combinations, but that's not like a variable. It's how you do it.
How you do?
Kind of. It's there. And I'll show you how to put it in the calculator. It's not a variable, it's what you do. It's a combination. It's part of probability. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so here is a scenario. You ready? Everybody paying close attention. Okay, so this says 1 in 5 boats traveling down a river bypass a harbor at the mouth of the river and head out to sea. Okay, so 1 in 5 boats make it to sea. Got it? 1 in 5 go out to sea.
So that would be the R for success.
No. Currently, 4 boats are traveling down the river. Okay, so here they come. Here comes 4. What is the probability that exactly 2 of the 4 boats head out to sea? Did you catch it? 2 of the 4 boats are going to go out to sea. Okay, so let's start with the first piece of information. You see 1 in 5. Which variable is that?
1/5, which is the Q.
That is your probability of your success. So which variable is that? I'm going to draw this over here. That's your P, right? Your P is 1 in 5.
Number. Got it.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to the Q because the Q is found by knowing the P. So if the probability of success is 1 in 5, what's the probability of the fail?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Perfect. Okay. N. Right by the box. Yep. Okay, the N comes from the number of chances. How many boats are coming down the river? How many chances do we have? Okay, so there's 4 boats coming down the river. That's our chances. The R is how many successes we're looking for. How many do we want to make it to the river? Or the ocean? 2. That's our 2. Okay. So you got that little formula that you wrote in front of you? The P of R. Okay, we're going to fill that in, and then we're just going to literally type it into the calculator. Okay, so it goes NCR. What's my N? 4. So 4 combinations of 2. Okay, so do you understand what 4 combinations of 2 means? Okay, so imagine I have 4 cards. 4 cards. 4 cards. How many different ways can I pair them up? Can I make combinations of 2? Okay, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you catch it? But do you see what I mean, at least, what we're doing, what that means? Okay, so then I'm going to multiply that by Q to the, what does the formula say? Or P, excuse me, P to the, P to the what? R. So my P is 1/5 to the R, which is 2. Then I do times Q. What's my Q? 4/5 to the N minus R. Can everybody go straight to the 2? Everybody's good with that. Okay, now how do I type this in? Girls, are you listening? Focused?
Go to math, and then go to draw.
Okay.
Pardon the interruption. Could all students that are participating in the PSAT next week please report to the auditorium for a brief meeting immediately when the bell rings? Again, all students participating in the PSAT next week, please report to the auditorium for a brief meeting about location of the test next week. Thank you.
We got this, guys. We got this. Come on, calculator. Okay, here's how you type it. Everybody ready? Okay, so you start by typing the N first. What's my N? 4. Okay, so to get to combinations, you hit Math. Math is right below the green button. And you go to PBR, so probability. And the third option down is your combinations. Okay, so you hit 3. The R is 2. Okay, so that's my 4C2. Okay, then I'm going to multiply by 1/5 squared, right? I'm going to put that in parentheses. 1 divided by 5 squared. Times 4/5 squared. 4 divided by 5 squared. And then you hit enter.
15.36% chance that you'll.
What'd you say? 15 point what?
36.
36. Okay, so you can give me my answer as 0.1536, or I prefer percentages because that makes more sense in my brain.
Wow.
Either way, is everybody okay with that?
Interesting.
What part did you miss?
Like